I'm going to explain the 3 most important things you need to do as a small creator to grow extremely fast on Twitter. The first thing you need to talk about is your content strategy, because this is going to be 80% of your growth. Alright, so this is Hypefury. As you can see here in the sidebar, there are a lot of different things you can do, but I'm only going to focus on 3 things that I would recommend that you do at the start. So you want to go to queue first, and then here in the queue, all of the content that you've scheduled is here. But we first want to create a schedule. So as you can see, this is my schedule. I don't recommend you copy this at the start. At the start, I would only post on Twitter and 3 times per day, around 9 AM, 1 or 2 PM, and then 5 PM. Those are the only 3 slots that you need to include at the start. And you can do that by clicking here, add slot. There you go to Twitter every day. There you click on 9 AM. And there you click on save. And after you do that, as you can see, it added this slot over here on every day. And now when you want to schedule tweets, you can just click on create here at the right bottom. And then you can just type your tweets. You can click on schedule. And then you can schedule on the next 3 slots, or you can choose a time. And then you can just click on the calendar here. And as you can see, it shows the new slot that we've created. Next up, you want to go to the power-ups over here. And you want to turn on the tweet booster and the auto un-retweeter. The tweet booster automatically reposts your own tweets so that they get more exposure. And the auto un-retweeter automatically unreposts your tweets so that your profile looks clean and so that it doesn't take you any time to un-retweet your own posts. You can set up these settings in the way that you want. 50 likes isn't that much for me, so that's why I have it at 50. But if you just start out, you probably want to do this at 5 or maybe even lower. And for the un-retweet, you want to un-retweet your own posts and also the posts from other people, so that your profile stays clean. Alright, so let me quickly show you what a good content schedule can look like. So here's for example what a content schedule can look like. The times differ a little bit, but this is what I would do if I were to post 3 times per day. So that brings us to the second step. And this is the tweets. I've posted thousands of tweets and I've analyzed all of them with a tool. And I'm now going to explain the 10 best tweet types that I've found, so that you can literally just copy them and turn them into your own tweets. The first tweet is the contrast tweet, and we have multiple different versions of this. The first version is this. You don't need this thing, you do need this thing. It's really simple, but it's extremely effective. As you can see, it worked really well for me, and I've tweeted this like hundreds of times. That brings us to version 2. Stop doing this thing. Start doing this thing. It's really simple again, but also very effective. I've done this one a lot as well. And the third version is the following. Dumb people do this, smart people do this. Really simple, but also very effective. And I've also done this one a lot of times. Alright, so that brings us to the milestone tweets. This one is a little bit weird, but you celebrate a milestone with your audience. So you say, I hit this amount of followers, daily this, daily this, daily this, and then a short takeaway. So that gives you this template. And the cool thing about this one is that it does better for small creators than for big creators. So I would highly recommend that you use this one for every 100 followers that you get below 1k followers. After that, it becomes less effective. Next up is the Symmetric Comparisons, or the 2x3 comparison. You start with a short hook, then with 2 short lists, and then with a lesson. That's it. This is a really good tweet to kind of compare 2 different situations with each other. That brings us to the list tweets, and there are multiple different variations of this. The first one is a regular list. So here you just have the hook, and then you have the list. A slight variation of this is a hook, then a list, and then a question at the end. This can kind of get you more comments. Then we have the first version of the repetition list. So this is where you have the same word at the start and then a different word after that. And each second version is that you kind of have a pattern interrupt by having the same thing and then suddenly having something different. And then you have a short lesson below that. And the last list tweet is the hook list takeaway, where you have a short lesson, then 3 different points, or even 5. And then a short lesson at the end. Alright, that brings us to the split sentences. This is where you intentionally turn one sentence into 2 sentences. So you use the first part of the sentence here, then you stop, and then the second part. This is 1 sentence, but it looks better if you do it like 2 sentences. That brings us to the intentional error. There's not really a template for this, but this is a great example of it. I actually had to use quotation marks here, because then it would have been right. But because I left those out, this sounded way more intriguing, and that's why I did extremely well. Because if I had quotation marks here, then people instantly would have interpreted that first sentence in the right way. But because I didn't do it, it made it more intriguing, and then I reversed it here, and I got people hooked in basically. Next up is the double definition. So this is basically just where you have two definitions of two related words. Discipline is the ability to do what matters. Focus is ignoring what doesn't matter. A is definition, B is opposite definition or related definition. Then we have the triad structure. There are multiple different variations of this, but all of them have the following in common. Here you have three related words and then the effect it causes. You can just read it for yourself, but it's basically just a way to create a rhythm and to kind of show the difference between similar things, or to show the interconnectedness of things. That brings us to extremes. This is where you take an extreme. So the smartest person, the richest person, the best person, etc. This is what that can look like. But this is, for example, a template that you could use. Next is the callout. This is where you call out a fault that people have. A lot of people say, I'm a perfectionist, so I have that as the fault, then I disagree with it, and then I reframe it. So you're not actually the thing that you think you are, but you're actually this thing. This helps people to kind of reframe their faults. So this is a template you could use for that. So that brings us to the third step. And this is your engagement system. Because good tweets are great, but at the start you need to force eyes on your content. Because if you don't do this, then people won't see your tweets and you won't grow. So I'm now going to explain exactly what comments you should leave and how you can leave comments in the most efficient way to maximize your growth while spending the least amount of time possible on it. This is the follower funnel. So people are strangers when they first see your content. Then they see either your tweets or your comments. Then they click on your profile, and if your profile is optimized, they become a follower. So you need three different things for this, but at the start, you won't have organic reach yet. So your tweets aren't reaching people, which means that you have to force eyes on your content. And you do this with quality comments. If you leave a lot of quality comments, you get a lot of profile clicks, and if your profile is set up right, you convert a high percentage of that into followers. So let's talk about how you can do this in the most efficient and effective way. In the second step, we're going to talk about how you can do this in the most efficient way. And in the third step, we're going to talk about how you can do it in the most effective way. And for this, you need to create your Pokédex. This may sound weird, but give me a second to explain it. Your Pokédex is just a name for the comment list that you're going to create. And the idea is that you're going to try to get all of these people to follow you eventually. So to catch them. And you want 80% of them to be small creators or creators a little bit bigger than you. And you want 20% of them to be big creators. So let me quickly show you how you can set this up. So when you're on Twitter or X, you can go to lists over here. And then you have your lists over here. And then you go to create a new list over here. Then you call it the comment list or Pokédex or however you want to call it. And now you make it private. Now you have the lists. When you have your list, you go to a few big creators in your niche. So in my case, this would be Danko. Then I go to add/remove. Then I add them to the comment list and I click on save. And I do this for about 10 or 20 big creators. And then you go to the recent posts of the big creators and you click on it. And there you have a lot of people inside of it. And you can click on their profiles and then you can do the same and add them to your list as well. And you do this for about 100 people, 20% big creators and 80% small creators around your size. Once you've done that, you go to pro.x.com, then you click on add column, then you go to the list, and then you go to your comment list. Now it's only Danko right now, but if you've added a lot of people, then they will all be here. Let me quickly show you what it looks like with a relist. So this is my relist, the comments. As you can see, we have replies right now, and that's really inefficient. So we want to go to search posts, and then we want to filter it out. And as you can see, right now it's in chronological order. And this is good because you get more from comments on recent posts, because then they have a longer life ahead of them. So that's how you leave comments efficiently. So let's now talk about the best comments you can leave. I've left over 30k comments and I analyzed all of them with a tool. And I'm now going to show you the 8 best performing ones for me, so that you can copy them and save a ton of time while still getting the same results. The first one is a personal insight. So this is where you give a personal insight related to the topic of the tweet. The second one is a platitude. This is sort of a short lesson that you give related to the tweet. The third one is a personal take. So this is where you give your own opinion on the tweet. The fourth one is sharing an idea related to the tweet. The fifth one is sharing a personal experience related to the idea in the tweet. The sixth one is sharing a relevant story. Doesn't need to be about you, but it can be. The 7th one is making a short joke. And the 8th one is saying something thought-provoking, again related to the topic that I talk about. That's the most important thing. It needs to be relevant to the tweets and it needs to add something to it. So here's what an action plan looks like. You can do 20 comments 3 times per day. That's the most effective. If you do more, you will grow more, but it's really boring to leave a lot of comments. So yeah, if you can stick to this, then you will get a lot more tweet impressions. But in order to convert this into followers, you also need to optimize your profile. Because if you don't, then you'll leak all of this traffic and you'll basically waste a lot of time. I don't want that to happen to you, so check out this video next. It explains exactly the 8 things you need to optimize on your profile, so that you can gain a lot of followers and clients instead of wasting all the traffic that you're getting.